It's almost been 3 years since I've owned my E55, and in this video I'm going to be talking about how reliable it's been and what issues it's given me. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. This is my 2003 E55 AMG and it is a little bit modified. I've had this car for about almost 3 years now. I bought it with 62,000 miles and now it's got about 83,000 miles, as you can see there. Now this was my daily driver for 2 years and it was great. I loved it. Now I got the diesel, which is a little bit more fuel efficient compared to this thirsty 5.4. Now yes, it did have a few major things go wrong with it, which you will see later on in the video. But starting off on the exterior, the air strut on this side actually failed while I was driving home. I will say every time something has gone wrong on this car, it has always made it home. The air strut failed on this on the highway and it still limped itself back home. Thankfully, because the other side was still good. So we went ahead and replaced both with R-Knot, the remanufactured versions, because if you use the new R-Knots, they don't have the adjustable dampening settings. It's only going to be in comfort mode the entire time, even if you press the button on the inside. So I went ahead and got remanufactured ones as it keeps the adjustability. Now staying along with the suspension, we replaced the lower ball joints and upper ball joints along with the thrust arms, because the thrust arms have ball joints that are made into it so you can't press them out. Now if you know W211s, they love to go through lower ball joints and tires because of the camber that they have on them. But that's it for the suspension side of it. Moving on into the engine bay, the next failure point was the alternator, and I suspect that is partially my fault as well, because I have long tube headers and these headers sit way too close for comfort to the alternator, and I didn't have a heat shield for it. I still don't have one now. I need to get one, but I suspect the heat from the headers actually caused premature wear on that alternator. So I will take a little bit of accountability from that. Now, aside from regular maintenance like oil filter changes and coolant changes, along with the secondary battery, nothing really has gone wrong on this motor-wise. Now, I will say the power steering pump is now starting to fail. It is whining, and it's not the good supercharger whine, unfortunately. So we went ahead and got that order from Mercedes. It's about $500, including the reservoir and the seal. Now, the next big failure point was actually this right here, and that's going to be the transmission. The torque converter in this actually failed. So when we dropped the transmission, we actually did a full rebuild on it, using stage 1 clutches, a brand new OEM Mercedes torque converter, along with brand new blue top solenoids, brand new conductor plate, along with a few other new parts as well, doing things like the rear main seal while we were in there. Now, if you want to watch me rebuild that transmission, you can go ahead and see some of my previous videos on it. Now, this car is a bunch of fun to drive. You know, I don't know really what horsepower rating it's making. I've never dynoed it, but it's definitely making a little bit more power than the stock with that smaller pulley, and it just sounds really good. And with the new TJ Mary TCU tune that I put in here, agility, or I call it abuse mode, it just shifts so much nicer compared to the stock TCU that used to be in there. I mean, it wasn't bad, the stock one, but the thing is, with the new TCU, this upgraded TCU, it completely changed the way this transmission feels. It shifts a little bit quicker. Instead of, allowing a little bit of slip, this transmission just grabs the next gear, doesn't even think about it. And then also, the 2003 cars, the early 2003 and early 2004, they didn't allow you to manually control the gears if you were in anything besides manual mode. With that new TCU, it completely changes that. You know, if I wanted to, in agility mode or in sport mode or in comfort mode, I could actually manually change the gears. So that's a lot nicer, for example, when I'm in Mexico and I'm having some fun. But again, this car rides really good with the aromatic suspension. You know, I like it. I've thought about switching over to coilovers, you know, because the whole aromatic failure and how a lot of people talk about that, but I don't think that's right for this car, you know. It's just not my personal favorite. I like the way this car rides, I like the way it drives, and I'm gonna keep it that way, you know. And then I have the keyless go as well, which I love on this car. It's very handy. I wish I had that keyless go on my E320. It would make life a lot easier. Now, I will say over time this has developed a little bit of a rough idle. I think it's possibly a vacuum leak, which I'm gonna have to take a look into. But if anybody has any suggestions, leave them down in the comment section. It just grabs the next gear. It doesn't even allow it. It just grabs that thing. Yeah, the TJ Mary TCU tune, I would definitely recommend it. Or just any TCU tune at all for this car. I know there's a few great ones out there, but thankfully TJ Mary went ahead and worked with me on getting one for this car. And I will say as well, I got this car retuned by the Mercedes swap shop, and it made a noticeable difference in just the daily drivability. There's no more surging in this car. Grabs. It loves it. And in Florida now it's starting to be boost weather. This car loves the cold. Now the next biggest thing I bought for this car are going to be located under here. On these 211s, the fuel pumps get really hot, and what happens is over time they actually start to melt the connectors, drawing more amperage, and then possibly starving the engine of fuel, causing you to blow your engine. So I got a brand new set of OEM fuel pumps along with the updated harnesses, because there is an updated version of these harnesses and fuel pumps for this car. This is a 2003, so it still uses the single relay compared to the 2004 and up, which uses the dual relay style. The majority of the work I do to this car is maintenance. I do the oil filter change every 5,000 miles with liquid moly. I also service the transmission every 25 to 30,000 miles. And again, just taking really care of the car is the biggest aspect of this. Now, if you're looking to buy one of these, I will say the M113K is probably one of the most reliable AMG motors. There's not many sensors on this to go wrong, along with there being very little plastic on there compared to the newer M177s or M157s. Now, with that being said, it is obviously an aging engine. There are rubber components inside that do go bad over time. For example, the donut for the secondary throttle body, the oil pump O-ring that works in the scavenging system, and behind the front timing cover, the two O-rings for the coolant passages. Those are things now you got to start worrying about as this engine ages, because along with time, everything becomes brittle. And thankfully, the SBC is under warranty for another few years, so I don't have to worry about that. If you don't know, Mercedes had a brake-by-wire called SBC. It is cool, but the problem is when these fail, they can be costly to replace. So thankfully, Mercedes extended the warranty for all SBCs 25 years after their manufacturing date of the vehicle. So this actually expires in 2028. Now, truthfully, I'm very happy with this car. I love it. This has been one of my dream cars since I was a kid. I grew up around these cars when I used to go to the dealership with my father. But I will say it is an aging car. Things are starting to go bad with it. You know, there's nooks and creaks in there. The panel roof does creak when going over uneven surfaces, and it's just one of those things. But I think all Mercedes panel roofs creak, let's be honest. Again, I love this car though. It's never let me down. You know, yeah, transmission, torque converter failure, and alternator failure. But honestly, this car takes a beating. I've driven this car to Tampa with a rally, and it's just so much fun driving it with the long tube headers, a smaller pulley. It's just very reliable for what power it's making. And considering that you're cocooned in luxury, this is an aftermarket steering wheel that I put on there. But I mean, you got leather everywhere. The sound system in this is actually pretty good because I swapped the head unit of a different 211. I actually swapped that out of a E63 2008 into this because this had the cassette tape. And for some reason, it's actually so much louder than stock. But all in all, this car hasn't given me too much of a headache besides the transmission, or let me rephrase that, the torque converter failing. The clutches on the inside were actually still in very good condition. The only reason we chose to replace it was because of the metal shavings that got sent everywhere in that transmission. But like I said, this car hasn't given me too much of a headache, and in the future I'm going to be making a video going over the important things to look out for if you're looking to buy one of these. But thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like below. Let me know what you want to see next on this car, and hit that subscribe button. Thank you.